In this video, we are going to model this army crate. I've created a reference image for you, so you can just download that from the link in the description, and you can model along with me. And in the next video, we'll do some texturing in Blender and potentially in Substance Painter. Over here in Blender, we need to delete all this stuff, so let's press A, X, delete. Come up here, make sure the move tool is on. Press 1 to look from the front view. Notice my screencast keys are on so you can see what I am doing. So let's bring in that reference image. Shift A, image reference, find it, load it, and there it is. Let's press S2 to scale it twice. Click. Now let's line it up with our image. This is the front view right here, so let's press G and pull it up so that your 3D cursor is pretty much in the middle. We may have to move it again. Just scroll your mouse wheel up to zoom in and get it pretty much in the middle. Let's press 3 to look from the side and move it back. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 grid units. Press 1 to look from the front. And we're ready to start modeling. Okay, so we're going to do this bottom piece, this middle piece, and then the top piece, and those things there. So let's go Shift A, Mesh Plane, hit Tab to go into edit mode. I like to do this in vertex selection. I find I can see it a little bit better. So let's press SX and scale it in the X and bring it out, and it looks pretty good for the dimensions. So let's leave it like that. I want this a little bit deeper, so I'm going to press SY, scale it in the Y, so it looks a little bit more like a rectangle, and say, okay, that could be my crate right there, maybe a little bit less. Okay, good. Okay, so with that still selected in edit mode, let's press E to extrude and come on up, and we now have the bottom piece. Okay, so we're done with that. So let's go back into object mode and Shift D to duplicate it. Pull it up to here, go back into edit mode, and with this top face selected, or if it's not selected, press 3 and grab that face. Let's just pull it up to there, and we now have the main body of our crate. All right, let's look from the front again and Shift D to duplicate that and pull that up here. Go into edit mode, and with that top selected, let's press 1. I'm going to press Z or Z and wireframe, and I'm going to pull this down so we have the top like that. But if we come over here, we see it's actually 3 horizontal pieces of wood. So I'm just going to turn this and go back into solid view, and we're going to put some edge loops in. Go Control R and then roll your mouse up 1 time so you have 2, and then finalize that. So that'll make 3 pieces of wood. But I want to separate these out into individual pieces, so press 3 for face selection. Shift Alt and click, and that will select all of that. And let's press P, separate by selection. So we now have this as a separate piece and this together. Let's go in again, Shift Alt and click here to make sure we get that side as well there, and P, separate by selection. So we should have 1, 2, 3. Now we need to focus on these because there's something else we need to do. So slash key, and although it's a little bit hard to see, there's no face right there. All right, so press 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click. That'll select the entire edge, and F to make a face. Go back into object mode, slash key to bring everything back. Let's do that for this one. Slash key, edit mode. There's no face here, and there's no face there. So I'm going to put those on. 2, Shift Alt and click, F to make a face. Shift Alt and click that edge, F to make a face. Slash key, 1 more, slash key, Shift Alt and click F to make a face, and slash key. We now have our 3 pieces of wood on there. Let's go ahead and add a bevel to this stuff. So just choose one of these. Let's say this one. Go to the modifiers, bevel. Let's bring this up to 3 segments, 0.01. Let's do that, but let's add another modifier on here, which we will use for smoothing, weighted normal. And we'll also add normal auto smooth. Let me go ahead and shade smooth. So I've got that bevel on there. I want it on everything, so I'm going to choose the bottom, the middle, this one, And this one with the modifiers, I'm going to click last, Shift Alt and click that one, Control L and copy modifiers. That'll put the bevel on all of them. Or go ahead and save your work at this point. Now just notice one thing, that if you come over here, you may not have auto smooth on all of these ones that you copied the modifiers from. All right, so you may have to just come in here and do auto smooth, auto smooth, auto smooth, and auto smooth. And if we haven't, you can right click and shade smooth on all of these. That one I think I did it, and shade smooth, click left, right click, shade smooth. All right, so we're good to go. We've got that so far. Let's do the top pieces here. So just choose any one of these, Shift D, and look from the front, and pull it up. We're gonna go into edit mode, A to select it all, Z for wireframe. Let's SX, scale it in the X. Just do something like that, and then slide it over, try to line it up. All right, SX to get the width of this, approximate width. Now I don't have a top view for this, and so what we're going to do is we're going to just come in here. Let's go back into solid view, and I could even take this. Let's look from the top. I'm going to move this to about here, and we will SY and pull it out until it's about in that position. So then deselect it in face selection number 3, just select the top and go SY, hold down shift so it doesn't move too fast, pull in, get a little bit of an angle like that on this. All right, now because we copied this piece from here, it's got the same modifiers, although it does have the normal, so that's good. Okay, so we have that. The 3D cursor is still in the middle, so we can just mirror this to the other side. So come to the modifiers, choose mirror, and you should get one in the X on the other side and in the right position. So we made most of the wood, or all of the wood of our crate, and everything's going good. Just press Control S once in a while to save. Now there's a couple of different ways to make these hinges on the side. I'm just going to do it a simple way. So let's just go into the main body here, this middle piece here. Go into edit mode, press Control R, click to add a loop cut, and pull down like that. You can release. Press 1 to look from the front, and go into wireframe, and just grab this and line it up with this. Control R, slide it down, just get roughly where you think it's supposed to be, and then just look at it and say, okay, so what's the distance from here to here, here to here? Now you can do this exactly, but I don't really care that much. It's not that important. And it looks to me like it's pretty close. Maybe I want to move that out just a little bit, and I'll just go with that. Okay, so we're going to build that little piece there. It's not really a hinge, I guess it's a support piece or whatever. All right, we're going to build it from this. So press 3 for face selection. Select this, hold down shift, select this. We want those two pieces. Okay, so let's duplicate it here. Shift D. Before we do anything else, it's sitting right there. Let's switch over to normal. And you can see the blue arrow, the Z arrow. If I pull it, it pulls out just nicely out from the main body. Before we do anything else, let's break this away from the main body by pressing P, separate by selection. Go back into object mode and now select the main body here. And these edge loops we don't need anymore. In fact, they'll adversely affect us when we try to mirror. So let's just get rid of them. Let's press 2 for edge selection. Shift Alt to click this one. Shift Alt to click that one. X, dissolve edges. Go back into object mode so they're gone. Good. We'll take this, look from the front in wireframe and in edit mode, and let's make it, you know, similar size. So let's go SY, pull it like this. So we're getting the height of this, and then box select the bottom and get the height. And don't worry about that because we're not in the right position yet. Okay, back into object mode. Let's give this some thickness by using solidify. And it looks like that because of the modifiers we put on before. I'm pulling it to the top of the stack, and I'm going to leave it at the default thickness. I'll put on even thickness if it matters, and that's good. Let's just apply it, and there it is. Go back into edit mode. You're still in normal, so we can just pull it in like this until you feel that it makes contact or it's in the position that you want it to be. Okay, back into object mode. Let's switch back to global. The 3D cursor is still in the middle, and if you feel that it isn't, we're going to mirror around this central rectangle here. So let's just go in, select it all, Shift S, cursor to selected. That just brings the 3D cursor into the middle of this middle box, and now we can mirror these. Mirror, X, Y, and you have them all around. Let's make this look better by turning on the cavity shader. So here we go. And that's what we have, looking somewhat like the diagram. We'll do bolts and stuff later. Cool. All right, save. It's time to work on handles. All right, this is a side view here, so we're going to make these little clips, and then we're going to make the handle part there. All right, so we're going to look at the side. To get to the exact side, I believe it is Control 3. Let's click on the main body, go into edit mode, Alt-A to deselect everything, 3 for face selection, and select just that face. Shift S, cursor to selected. So we bring our 3D cursor there, so it makes it easier when we bring in a new object. All right, Control 3. All right, and the object we're going to bring in is a circle, so Shift A, mesh, circle. Down here, we're going to switch this to 16 vertices, and enter, and go into edit mode, and 1 for vertex selection, so you can just see it a little bit better. S to scale. And really, you're going to be just doing this by eye. Press 1, look at the side. RX 90 to rotate it 90. I mean, you can sort of see it here, but not that well. So just scale it down, G to move it. Just get it roughly in position where you're going to like it. Let's go to wireframe now and box select all of these bottom vertices, but leave the one that's sort of exactly in the middle, or the ones. Select both of those in vertex selection, and then let's press E and SZ, scale in the Z, and pull. And just pull it out a bit. You can sort of see here that it would come up to about there. I may have to adjust that though. Alright, so I have that so far. Now I'm going to deselect, and I'm going to select this vertex and this vertex. And it's a little sharp there for my liking, so I'm going to bevel that by pressing Shift Control B, not just Control B, Shift Control B. I'm going to pull and split those and roll my mouse up 1. That's good enough for me. There we go, just like that. Let's go back into solid view, and I have that. Control 3 to look from the side. Let's give this some width to it. E to extrude, pull out in the Y direction here. Do something like that. A to select it all, and move it down until it's either in the middle of this spot or with this edge lined up there. That's fine, something like that. And really, with the 3D cursor there, we're going to be mirroring this soon anyhow. So we'll get into all of that stuff in a bit, really. We don't even need that on for now. Okay, so that's about what I'm going to be going with, so that's fine. Let's go into edit mode, and sometimes it's important to Alt-N, recalculate outside. And we're going to give this some thickness. We're going to use solidify, so choose solidify, and let's pull it out a bit. I think I might want mine a little bit thinner than that, so I'm just going to come down here under thickness. I'm going to hold shift, and I'm just going to pull it until I like it. Kind of like it there. I'm going to click on even thickness, see if that does anything, and apply that. Now before I go any further on this, I want to check my polys. You do that periodically. Everything is blue, so I'm okay actually. All my polys are facing the right direction. Wow, I'm good. Alright, I'm going to press slash key with that so we can just focus on this piece here. Go into edit mode and press 2 for edge selection. And I want to bevel these manually a bit. I want to select that edge and that edge. Come down here, hold shift, select that edge and this edge. I don't want it so sharp. Control B, and I've got 3 edges in there, 4, 5. I want a total of 5, like that. Deselect, shift alt and click the edges and start going around the model, making sure that everything is selected on the outside. There we go. We should have everything. Get in a position where you can see, and Control B to pull. I don't really need 5. I need maybe 3 in total, like that. Smooth. And you know, you gotta get a bit of shading error, so we're gonna do what we did before. We're gonna add the weighted normal and auto smooth. Slash key to bring everything back, And there is my piece. I just want to make sure it is pretty much kind of touching the surface. Okay. All right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and put that mirror back on. In fact, we can get it on the other side by selecting here. Okay, select the whole thing, Shift S, cursor to selected, and then take this, say Object, set the origin to the 3D cursor, and we will, in the mirror, turn on the X. So we'll have them on both sides. All right, but now what we need to do is come back here. I'm going to select just this face again, Shift S, cursor selected, because we're going to make the handle. Control 3 to look from the side. Shift A, mesh plane. We can bring in a new one, or we can use that old one, doesn't really matter. All right, let's scale this in the X, and I'm just going to move it out. And what I really want, I'll show you. We're going to get rid of this edge, and in fact, we're going to get rid of all these edges. Yeah. Okay, I just want that piece. Control 3 to look from there. 1 for vertex selection. I'm going to pull it down to about where I want the bottom of my handle to be. So maybe there. I'm going to scale that, or scale it in the Y, just so it's just outside of these supports here. Okay. So once I've got it like that, I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull up. And now I'm going to, with that selected, I'm going to press X, only edges and faces. I'm going to select here, just pull them down to about central, E, S, Y, and come in to maybe about there. And then let's select everything and pull it back so it seems like this goes under. Now select these pieces here, these vertices. E to extrude, X, and come out just a little ways. So we get this. So it goes around, comes under, and comes out. All right, so we're building the handle. We need to curve this a bit. So I'm going to select those two, and I'm going to put a relatively big curve on that. So Shift Control B and pull. And I want 5 vertices in there. So a nice curve there. And I'm going to come to these ones, and a slightly lesser curve, but still a nice curve. Pull. I'm going to use 5, something like that. And then select these two and Shift Control B, and this one's going to be a little tighter. We'll try that, and let's see if I go for total of I can't see how many I've got. Shift Control B, pull. If I have 3, it might be smooth enough, and it might even be easier to deal with. We have to manipulate a bit, but you can see what my object looks like. All right, we're going to right click and convert this to a curve. Come over to the curve dialog box, and under geometry and bevel depth, hold down Shift and start pulling to the right to get some thickness. Go for something like that. I'm going to shade smooth. I'm going to pull the whole thing back in. Now it's going into the main body a bit, so I'll make it a little bit less thick. And just get it so it just fits like that. All right. Okay, cool. That's fine with me. So let's go ahead, and now we're going to convert this to a mesh so we can work on it. Come up here and change the resolution to about 4, not 12, so that when we convert it to a mesh, right click, convert to mesh, it's not too dense with polys. I'm going to go Control R, put an edge loop right in the middle. Control 3 to look from the side. I'll go into wireframe and just B to box select. We'll get rid of this stuff. We'll mirror that. We'll mirror it over so we only have to work on one side. So just click mirror, Y, not X for the moment. So we're just going to work on this side now. I'm actually going to go Control 1 or Control 2. I'm not worried about my polys. Just want it nice and smooth. I think that's going to be fine with this curve. And I think that one's going to be fine too, so we don't have to do too much. So let's come back into here in edit mode and 2 for edge selection. Grab this and just look at it. Maybe I'll pull it back a little bit, and we'll just make it a little, and we can press E and S. Make it a bit wider. E, come out. And let's just go F to make it face. But let's bevel that. Control B, pull back. Give it a nice rounding there. And then Shift Alt and click this edge, and let's bevel that. Control B. I really probably only need 1 segment there, maybe a couple. and we'll have this. I'll come in and maybe I'll drag an edge loop there. All right, and we see it on the other side, and that's our handle right there, and I'm okay with that. And so let's go ahead and let's apply the mirror for this thing here. And if we really care, we could come in here and we could grab this edge and just delete it. We don't need it, dissolve it really. But I'm not too worried about polys, so let's come in here and Shift S, cursor to selected, bring the 3D cursor to this so that we can mirror this nicely. Let's set the origin to the 3D cursor and mirror this, and it's over there. Another thing to be doing is to be coming in here and checking your orientation to make sure everything is good, and doing your editing, you know, scale and rotate in edit mode, not object mode. We're going to do the front hinge with the clasp. It's going to look like this. All right, so let's look from the front, and let's come in here, and we can take a piece of this if we want, or bring in a new plane. Let's just grab this front piece, Shift D to duplicate, S to scale it in the X a little bit, bring it up, and then we're going to break this out. P, separate by selection. So we're going to use this to build the clasp. So let's go in. All right, let's go into edit mode and get this shape. So it's not exactly central, but it is central with respect to my model, so maybe the diagram is off a little bit, so I'm not going to worry about that. All right, let's go in, and I'm going to grab this edge here, and I'm going to pull it to the top, like about, let's see which way we're going to go. I'll go to about there. All right. And then you press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull it out. How far to pull this out? Well, if I look at the diagram here, I see that this comes rounded, and again, it comes close to this line here where this board ends, just like we looked at this. So we're just doing it by eye. All right, so just do it to wherever you want. That's probably fine. Let's go to solid view. Let's see what I got. Okay, so we'll do that. And then you can move it off the body. We're going to position this in a bit anyhow. Okay, so let's go back into wireframe and have a look at this. So it splits here. So I'm going to go Control R, click right there. It's done a split. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to break it out. P, separated by selection. So I now have this. Let's go to object. I now have this piece and I have this piece. I'm going to give this some thickness. All right, and I'm going to use solidify and probably the default. I'm just going to drag it to the top. And the default, I think is going to be okay for what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that. I'm going to use the same, so I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to add the solidify again. I'm going to drag it to the top. I'm not going to apply it yet. It's going to be easier to do the rounding if I don't. I just find Control R. 1, 2. I want a total of 5. Okay, 7 to look from the top and 1 for vertex selection. We're going to round this out. Select this vertex and just pull it out a little ways, and then select both of these so it's symmetrical and pull them, and start making yourself a curve like this, something like that. Maybe back a little bit. And then Control R, drag an edge loop up. Well, let's straighten this. SY0. And then you can grab these two, SX, pull them in, and it'll become a little bit more rounded. So I've got that. Drag another edge loop and make sort of a rectangle area in here that we could put a hole. All right, that area. I'm going to select that at SX. I want it a little bit narrower, so I'm going to bend it like that. And that's going to be fine. So we can go ahead and select that part and actually X faces and get rid of it. I have a bevel here, and what I want to do is I want to come down to geometry and watch this circle, this rectangle here, arc. This has rounded the edges a little bit better. I'm going to move both of these up and out. So let's make that a little thicker. Like that. And for this one, well, I'm going to focus on both of those with the slash key. And for this piece here, I'm going to select that face, look from the side, and I'm just going to pull it in to simulate that. All right, cool. All right, let's take this and let's go ahead and apply that solidify. So I have that. And I think I will round this edge here to select that, Control B and pull, and I'll have 5. Just look a little bit nicer in my mind to have it like that. All right, good. Slash key to bring that back. We can now take this stuff here, select both of those pieces. I'll go into edit mode, look from the side, and I'm just going to press G and grab and just position them a little bit nicer. All right, so we have that. Now let's come in and select something, maybe on this one, maybe this top edge here. All right, there. Shift S, cursor selected to bring the cursor there. We're going to bring in a cylinder to make this hinge part here. So Shift A, mesh, cylinder, but let's turn this down to 16. We'll leave end guns on so the ends are closed. S to scale, and just S to scale. You're welcome to look at the wireframe if you want and see it. Let's rotate Y90. And we can scale it a bit more if you want. Let's go SX. Pull it out till it's not quite at the end. All right, like that. I'm going to come back here. All right, and then I'm going to roll my mouse up just like that. 2 of them. So I have 2 edges, and I'm going to break this out. So I'm going to Shift Alt and click those faces. P, separate by selection. So I have this with the 2. And this one. I'm going to slash key to come in here, and I am going to Shift Alt to click that edge, Shift Alt to click that edge, and then select this face and this face, Control B to bevel, and I probably need maybe 1 or 2 segments like that. Shade smooth, slash key. I want to do the same on this thing here, so I'm going to slash key. The edge's already capped there, but come on in here and Shift Alt to click this edge, F, this edge, F. Just leave that selected. Hold down Shift. We want to select all of these and bevel them together. There we go. So let's Control B, pull. Just do that. Right click, shade smooth, slash key. So we have these pieces, and it looks like that. Now we need to check this. Everything's going great. Okay, and if the shading looks a little bit odd, you can always do this. That didn't change, so we're okay anyhow. All right, we are almost done. Now we're going to do something in here, so I'm going to select this, and I want to bring my 3D cursor here. So I'm going to Shift Alt and click Shift S, cursor to selected to bring my 3D cursor there, and Shift A, mesh, circle. I'm going to stay with 16. And go into edit mode and scale it down. I'm going to rotate Y90, and we can't see it there, so scale it down a bit more. And I'm going to go into wireframe, look from the side. And what I want to do is just chop off the bottom again like I have before. And push that down to the surface. Go back into solid view. And let me scale it just a little bit. Let's E to extrude and pull out to give this some thickness like that. Maybe press 7 to look from the top and sort of center it up. All right, so it's going to be something like that. Okay, I'm going to make it like a half circle. So let's just go E and Alt S. There's so many ways to do this. I'm going to do E and Alt S and pull it down like that. And then I'm going to slash key, and I'm going to get rid of the bottom faces. I've probably wasted so many other faces, it doesn't really matter. Number 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click these edges. And Control B, I just need, well, you do a couple like that. Just pull it like that. It probably overlaps, so I'm just going to pull it like that. And I'm going to Control 1 for one subdivision. That's going to look like that. All right. Now, that looks fine. The only thing is, if I raise this up, let's just hide that for a minute. There's nothing there. So I don't think that looks very good. So I'm going to Shift A, mesh, planes. You can't really see that in the diagram, I don't think. I'm just going to scale a plane down like this. Scale in the X. I'll even probably put a few bolts. Press 1 for vertex selection. Let's bevel these. Shift Control B. Pull. And have, you know, a few vertices in there. I'm going to have 5. I just want it smooth. Select it. Give it a bit of thickness by E and gesturing down and delete that bottom face. And then select that top face and Control B and have a couple segments. Right click, shade smooth. And then come over to the modifiers and don't forget weighted normal and auto smooth. Move it down to the surface. And then we'll put some bolts there. Let's go Alt H to bring everything back. If I move this out of the way, be rotating that in a bit. In fact, let's just look at that quickly. Select that piece, go into edit mode, select it all, and bring your 3D cursor there. Switch over, not there. Switch over there to 3D cursor. Take this, so it's going to rotate around that 3D pivot. RX. If I lift that up, you know, it just looks a little bit better, especially once I put bolts. So, all right, let's go back into global. Medium point. All right, keep saving, keep checking your polys, and see this one here, this plane. So select it all, Alt N, recalculate outside. So everybody is playing nicely. Bolts, and let's do that over here on one of these. Doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to select the here and Shift S, cursor to selected, and I'm going to bring in a circle. This time I'm going to go for, it doesn't really matter that much, I don't know, 24. Let's make it a little bit nicer. Scale it down, RX 90, and just make them as big as you want, or you can follow the diagram, I suppose. And yeah, that's probably good enough. Okay, so I'm just going to move it out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to press F to make a face, E to extrude. I'm going to come out a little bit and scale it a bit like that. And then to press E to extrude, and I'm going to come back. A, B, and O. Okay, I'm going to put on a bevel. 0.0. I'll try 0.001 actually. Barely anything. And I'm going to shade smooth. So I'm going to have this. Let's make this into a proper bolt, and there's more I need to do in a moment. Let's just slash key to focus on that. And Shift S, cursor to selected. Bring the 3D cursor there. Look from the front. Now, I'm going to make that cross in the middle. So I'm going to make a plane and scale it down a bit. Okay, rotate X 90, so it just sort of covers it like that. All right. And then I'm going to look in wireframe, and I'm going to right click subdivide, and I'm going to start subdividing this, and I'm probably going to go for, I think, an odd number. You can only go up to 10 that way. I think I'm going to go 11. Let me just have a look at this. And what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to be selecting some of these polys here, these quads, and up there, and I think that's what I want right there. So let's go back into solid view, number 3. You can see the middle is right here, so I'm going to come out to like there. And I'm going to come up to like here. Let's deselect, go into wireframe, and just see. Okay, if I got too much, I can just deselect these. And I'll scale this down after. Okay, so I want that much selected. So I'm going to press Control I to select everything else, X faces. So I have just that now. I'm going to press S to scale. I'm going to use this to make the cross in the middle. E to extrude, come back. But make sure you selected an Alt N, recalculate outside, just in case I went the wrong way. Let's pull this out and just push it in a bit. And we're going to cut it with that. Hopefully that's not too wide, but anyways, let's just do it. Okay, so choose Boolean on this main screw part. Pull it up under difference with the die dropper, choose that, and apply. I can now get rid of this. Now for this part here, I've got a bevel on here. I may try changing the bevel to this much, and then come over here, weighted normal, and that, auto smooth. But go back to the bevel, and under the geometry, choose the outer to arc, and it may look a little bit nicer. Save your work, slash key. I've got a bolt. It's a big bolt. Select it, scale it down if you want, pull it in. All right, at this point, you don't have to follow the diagram too much. All right, on the other hand, Shift D, pull one down. We have two. Now, the one thing to note is that the orientation of this screw or bolt is the same all the time. I'm going to leave it like that and go ahead and copy it around everywhere. All right, and then I'll deal with changing the orientation. So to mirror this, I'm going to select the main body again. And now I've got this and this. I'm just going to actually Control J. I'm going to join them together. This is one piece. I'm going to set the origin to the 3D cursor and leave all those modifiers. And I'm going to press mirror there and there. And I should get them in the front and in the back. All right, and now it's just a question of copy. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go into edit mode with those two selected. Shift D, pull them out. Rotate Z 90. No, that's the wrong way. 90 minus. And I'm going to pull them in. And you see they're still mirrored. So let's go Control 3. Slide them into the middle there. 1. And just pull them in until you like the position. They don't have to stick out that much if you don't want them to. Now I've got them there, and they should be all the way around. Oops. Okay. I'm going to take that and hide it. Okay, there's much more to do with these guys, so let's actually going to need that. Let's select a little bit and Control L. That will select just what's linked. Shift D, let's pull it here. And it pulls another mirrored one there. Let's break this out by pressing P by selection. So I've got just these here. And let's get rid of that. We still have to do the hinges at the back. We'll do that in a moment. All right, so where are they? Let's go into edit mode. Pull this out. I'm going to Alt-H to bring that back and look. Okay, I'm going to just, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm going to press this and G and drag it here. Yeah, it's centered with respect to my clip, so that's okay. Is it? Let's set the origin to 3D cursor. Ah, okay, moved it a little bit. That's better. Okay, so we have them there. We also need them on the sides here. So let's grab this here. Control L, Shift D, pull one out to like this. Let's Control 3, S to scale. Position it the way you like. And pull it in, make sure it makes contact. Don't forget that. So something like that. And I could even Shift D to duplicate it and pull it down to get one down there. It's all mirrored. And let's see if we've got it on the other side now. All right, just save every time. Yeah, it's looking good. Okay, we need a couple on the top too, so just maybe grab these. Okay, Shift D to duplicate it, pull it out. Let's rotate X 90. Again, I went the wrong way, like that. Pull this out. I'm just going to G to grab, and I'm going to scale these bigger. Just want real big ones on the top. And I'm going to pull them in. And Shift D to duplicate, and I'm just going to pull it back. Again, it's sort of a similar position near the back. Again, they're not turned, so that might look a little odd. Keep saving. All right. And I think the final thing we need to do, well, final couple things, you might want to hide that. If you want, you can put screws here as well. I'm going to grab these again, go in, select a bit, and Control L, Shift D, pull it up, rotate X minus 90, I believe it is, S to scale, G, I'm going to pull these over, Zoom in S. They might be so small it's almost not worth doing. On the other hand, why the hell not? Okay, let's pull these down. I haven't deleted the backside, as you can see. Some of you may want to do that. Shift D. I'll do them down here as well. Yeah, so all it takes to bring that thing back. Well, you can see them through there, can't you? Okay, the final thing to do is the back hinges, and the way we're going to do that is we are going to select this and this, Shift D to duplicate, pull it out, go into edit mode with both of them selected, RZ 180, and to look from the back, I'm going to press Control 1, and now I've got this thing in the way, so I'm going to press the, I'm going to have to hide this. Alright, so I want these two pieces here. Control 1 to look from the back. I'm going to slide them down to about there. And then I'm going to pull it in. And look from the side. G and position it the way I like it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this piece here. Alright, so I'm going to go into edit mode, wireframe. Press 1 for vertex selection, and I'm going to box select all of this. I want to delete this, X, vertices. So now I'm left with this. It looks a bit weird, but let's just fix it up. Let's come in here. Let's press slash key to focus just on that. And all we need to do is rebuild this part here. I'm pressing the edge, holding shift, the edge, I have to make a face. And now, in fact, we don't even need these edges. So now I'm going to shift alt and click these edges, and I'm going to dissolve them. X, dissolve edges, makes it a simpler object. Select this face and scale in the X. And go like that. Bring it back. I think I need to move this a little bit. I'm going to go into edit mode, because it's a little bit, maybe not, maybe it's fine there. There, and that's what I wanted. All right. Let's see. Does this have all the same stuff on it? I wonder if I could just Control J that. Or did I not apply that? I just Control J to just merge them together, join them together. And let's take some bolts and put them on there. All right, so find the ones that are active, like this one. Control L, Shift D, pull it back. Where'd it go? There it is. Pull it over here. Oh, you're crossing. That's fine. Doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to rotate X 180 degrees. Control 1. And I actually think I want a couple of these bolts here. And let's see if I can do anything on the diagram. H, no, not really. Can't really see. It's just the fact that there's two of them there, so. Alright, so I'm going to take this and hide it again. Come back here. And I can just make that smaller. And I'll just position it better. Make sure it's in, like that. Just put it wherever you want, and I'll Shift D and duplicate that. I'll have another bolt there, and I've got these ones hanging in space. All I need to do for this, I believe, is to mirror it. Let's see if it's in space. It's not in the right place, so let's set the origin to the 3D cursor and mirror it there. And we've got some bolts in there. Okay. Now, I've been moving stuff around a lot. There's a chance something is flipped. No, it isn't. How about that? Let's try the shadow. And let's try switching to this. And hiding this stuff. And let's see what's going on over here. I've got some extra bolts that I don't need. So, before we do anything else, here, these guys, these ones here, I need to separate this out. So this one, P, So I can just independently operate these, and I don't need it mirrored in the Y, I guess. So I'll come back here now, and there's my crate. All right, it did take a little while. There's a lot of things flying around here and there, but it's not hard modeling. Just note the bolts are all in the same orientation. All right, so what we'll do is we'll take this in the next video and we'll texture it with a wood texture and a metal texture, and we'll see how it looks in Blender. So, hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.